Hi and welcome to True Crime, a channel dedicated to the dark underworld of criminal activity carried out by gangsters, mobsters, cartel leaders, and others. Let's get started. The United States has a long and storied history of aviation, from the Wright brothers' first flight to modern-day commercial airlines. However, not all pilots have used their skills for legitimate purposes. Some have turned to smuggling, using their airplanes to transport illegal goods and contraband across the country. In this video, we will explore the stories of American pilot who became smuggler and examine the motivations and consequences of their actions. In more recent years, pilots have continued to use their skills for smuggling operations. In 2017, 2 California pilots were arrested for smuggling cocaine from Colombia to the United States. The pilots, who flew private planes, were part of a larger operation that involved several individuals who transported drugs and laundered money. The pilots were eventually sentenced to 10 and 11 years in prison, respectively. Regardless of their motivations, the consequences of smuggling can be severe. Smugglers face significant legal risks if they are caught, including lengthy prison sentences and heavy fines. They may also be subject to violence from rival criminal organizations or law enforcement officials. In addition, smuggling can have broader social and economic consequences, contributing to drug addiction, organized crime, and other social problems. Despite these risks, some pilots continue to be drawn to smuggling operations. In recent years, there has been a rise in the use of small planes and drones for smuggling activities. These methods can be harder to detect than traditional smuggling techniques, and they can allow smugglers to transport smaller quantities of illegal goods more frequently. However, law enforcement agencies have also stepped up their efforts to detect and intercept smugglers using sophisticated surveillance technologies and intelligence-gathering methods. A famous smuggler was William "Willie" Sutton, who gained notoriety during the 1920s and 1930s as a bank robber. However, Sutton was also an accomplished pilot, and he used his skills to evade the law by flying across state lines. Sutton's most famous smuggling operation took place in 1932 when he and his accomplices flew a stolen plane from New Jersey to Massachusetts to rob a bank. The heist was successful, but Sutton was eventually caught and sentenced to life in prison, but this is just a sneak peek of what we are going to tell you further in the video. The motivations behind these pilots' smuggling activities vary. Some, like Barry Seal, were drawn to the high profits that could be made from transporting illegal goods. Others, like Willie Sutton, were motivated by the thrill of breaking the law and evading authorities. Still, others may have been driven by financial desperation or a desire for adventure. Barry Seal was one of the most notorious smugglers in American history. Born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in 1939 to a middle-class family, he grew up with a love of aviation and quickly became an accomplished pilot. After college, Seal enlisted in the United States. He joined the Civil Air Patrol at a young age and later enlisted in the United States Army, where he flew reconnaissance missions during the Cold War. He was stationed in West Germany and flew missions over the Iron Curtain, gathering intelligence on Soviet military activities. After leaving the military, Seal worked as a commercial pilot for TW and other airlines. However, he soon became restless with the routine of commercial flying and began looking for more adventurous opportunities, but he eventually turned to smuggling. Seal's smuggling career began in the late 1970s when he was approached by members of the Medellin cartel. The cartel was looking for a pilot who could transport large quantities of drugs from Colombia to the United States, and they saw Seal as the perfect candidate. Seal accepted the offer and began flying cocaine and other drugs from Colombia to secret airstrips in the United States. Seal's smuggling operations were highly organized and sophisticated. He used a fleet of airplanes, including a custom-built plane called the Fat Lady, to transport drugs across the border. He also had a team of mechanics and other support staff who helped him maintain and operate his planes. Seal's smuggling activities were extremely profitable, earning him millions of dollars in cash and other assets. However, Seal's success as a smuggler was not without its risks. He was constantly under surveillance by law enforcement agencies, and he had to constantly evade detection by using a variety of tactics, including flying at low altitudes and using false flight plans. He also faced threats from rival drug cartels who wanted to take over his smuggling operations. Seal's downfall came in the mid-1980s when he was arrested by the DEA for drug smuggling. Facing the prospect of spending the rest of his life in prison, Seal made a deal with the government to become an informant. He agreed to testify against members of the Medellin cartel in exchange for a reduced sentence and protection for himself and his family. Seal's cooperation with the government was a major turning point in the war on drugs. His testimony helped to bring down some of the most powerful drug lords in the world, including Pablo Escobar, who was eventually killed by Colombian authorities in 1993. However, Seal's decision to become an informant also made him a target. In 1986, he was gunned down by members of a rival cartel in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Seal's life and legacy have been the subject of numerous books, documentaries, and films. In 2017, the movie American Made was released, starring Tom Cruise as Barry Seal. The film portrayed Seal as a charismatic and adventurous pilot who became involved in smuggling activities as a way to make a living. However, the film also showed the dark side of Seal's life, including his involvement with drug cartels and the violence that eventually led to his death. The film's portrayal of Seal has been controversial, with some critics arguing that it glorifies his criminal activities. Despite the controversy surrounding his legacy, Barry Seal's cooperation with the government had a significant impact on the war on drugs. His testimony helped to bring down some of the most powerful drug lords in the world, and it demonstrated that even the most successful smugglers could be brought to justice. Barry Seal's life is a cautionary tale about the dangers of getting involved in illegal activities. His story shows how a talented and successful pilot can be lured into a life of crime and how the consequences of those actions can be severe. However, his cooperation with the government also demonstrates how one person can make a difference in the fight against drugs and organized crime. In conclusion, Barry Seal was one of the most infamous smugglers in American history. His life was marked by daring smuggling operations, constant surveillance, and a violent end. However, his legacy as a key informant in the war on drugs has had a lasting impact on the fight against organized crime. Despite the risks and consequences of his actions, Seal's story serves as a reminder of the power of one person to make a difference in the world. American pilots who become smugglers are a complex and multifaceted group. While some are motivated by financial gain, others are driven by a desire for adventure or a sense of rebellion. However, regardless of their motivations, the consequences of smuggling can be severe, both for the smugglers themselves and for broader society. As law enforcement agencies continue to crack down on smuggling activities, it remains to be seen whether these pilots will continue to take the risks associated with smuggling or whether they will find other outlets for their skills and ambitions. Thank you for watching another amazing video from our true crime team. Like, comment, and subscribe. And stay tuned to our next real-life true crime video.